in Sweden, physically. I get physically persecuted. So I'm the target of a secret deep state persecution program called Gangstalker Widows. And in this video, I'll be talking about shill pastors and churches. And I'll read off a few of these shill puppet pastors or deep state puppets. Yankee Arnold, Andy Woods, and Do the Bible Church, Tom Stegall, and other leaders, quote unquote, in the Do the Bible Church ministry. They're puppet pastors. Do the Bible Church is a deep state controlled church. Andy Woods is a deep state puppet shill. And Robert Breaker is another one. And I can tell. I'm good at decoding things, and I'm good at being able to discern the truth. And it's not hard. So do I have the ability to see things that most people are blind to? Yes, that's why I can make videos on foreshadowing the 9/11 attacks and Hollywood movies and the pandemic and other things, and decode movies and things like this. Now, it doesn't take a lot of discernment to be able to tell that somebody's messing with you. So Andy Woods is one of these deep state puppet pastors that have targeted me with covert abuse for the deep state persecution program. Same with Robert Baker. And they target me with passive aggressiveness, very weak, effeminate. Passive aggressiveness is a weapon of the weak and a coward that are afraid to be actively aggressive. I saw a video by Sam Beckner the other day on passive aggressive people. It's like covert narcissist or passive aggressive or something like this. And he was dealing with people being passive aggressive because they're scared to be that cowardly a lot of times. Now, anyway, here's the point. Andy Woods is a deep state puppet pastor, and he shills for the deep state. One of the things that I've seen him do, so there's like the personal stuff where I've seen him target me for the deep state persecution program. And then there's more general topics. Anyway, here's the point. I've seen Andy Woods help to cover up 9/11. What was 9/11? The 9/11 attacks in America. 9/11 was an inside job. The deep state that controlled America from behind the scenes, including politics and the media and Hollywood, they planned 9/11, the 9/11 attacks in advance. And how they accomplished it is to control demolition, meaning that 2 towers that were brought down on 9/11, they were not brought down by airplanes flying into the buildings. They were brought down with explosive demolition charges placed inside of the buildings and set off in a carefully timed synchronized sequence. And if you're into this, I can recommend, since you guys are so pro-Israel, okay? If you're pro-Israel, you'll be for the truth, generally. Richard Gage, A&E 9/11 Truth. Richard Gage has done a momentous effort in working to expose the truth of 9/11. And I reckon he's a Jew, okay? If he's not, then become clear. But I think he might be a Jewish man, as a matter of fact. So, 9/11 was an inside job, and a primer for people looking to learn more about this is you can look on some Richard Gage videos. I used to watch the streams. Now, I woke up to 9/11 inside job for us, 25 years old. So it's not that I woke up recently, but a few years ago, Richard Gage used to host live streams on the A&E YouTube channel, A&E 9/11, Architects, Engineers for 9/11 Truth, and he'd be holding online lectures, you could say, where he's poking holes in the official story of 9/11, and that can be used as a primer to kind of wake up to this. So I do believe that 9/11 was an inside job, but it's not like I believe like you believe in Santa Claus or you don't. It's like I believe in gravity, okay, because I live in a world where I'm experiencing it. So 9/11 was an inside job, and it's something that a lot of people still haven't woken up to. Now, there's thankfully, according to statistics I've seen, it's quite a lot of people now that have woken up at least partially to 9/11, an inside job. So 9/11 was an inside job. And somebody wrote a comment here, the end is near, we need to prepare for the Lord's return. I'm already prepared for the Lord's return because I've trusted the gospel, which means I'm ready for the rapture. If the rapture would happen, I'll be ready. Now, I'm not looking to have this be a sermon, but I'm dealing with my personal beliefs about the Bible and end times prophecy and things like this. That's a topic for another discussion. So 9/11 was an inside job. The deep state that controlled America and Sweden from behind the scenes, they have succeeded in doing a silent takeover of America and Sweden which means they control politics, they control Hollywood, they control the mainstream media, and in this day and age, they control a lot of podcasters and major YouTubers, influencers. Because the agenda of the deep state is control the masses, and how you control the masses, control who the masses listen to. Which means the deep state has kept a lot of churches and pastors. And Andy Wood is one of these deep state control puppet pastors. And I've seen him shill for 9/11, helping to cover up the mass murder, human sacrifice, satanic mass murder ritual that the deep state did on 9/11. And that's what it was. Which why that's the deeper level when I decode and look at analyze the 9/11 attacks. There's layers there, there's esotericism where you can tell that the deep state, part of what they did is like the practical issue of creating a crisis to be able to go to war and stuff, but there's also like ritualistic components to it, like esoteric ritualistic components to it. The Jaw, Queen, and Boaz, the two pillars, unification of opposites, like the Phoenix ritual where they bring something down, and as the Phoenix rises out of ashes, you have a new world order. So it's a major milestone in the world agenda. It's like to birth a new world order, to birth changes in society. They cause destruction like a phoenix rising out of the flames. You have another major step in the new world order agenda. So anyway, Andy Woods is a puppet pastor, and he helped to cover up 9/11. He made a video, one of his pastor's perspective videos, where he shills for the deep state, helps to cover up the truth on 9/11, and he makes a video where he says words to the effect of, yeah, there's people out here saying that 9/11 was an inside job and they're part of the problem and stuff. No, you're part of the problem. You're helping the deep state cover up the murder of Americans on your own soul, because it was the deep state that did 9/11. The deep state planned 9/11 in advance, and how they carried out was controlled demolition, meaning it's an inside job, and it's almost like a double entendre. It's like a double positive. It was an inside job in more ways than one, is what I'm saying. Meaning, as opposed to the official narrative, it was like, yeah, they were Al-Qaeda members from outside of America that flew airplanes into the towers and brought them down. No, it was, the plot was hatched from within America. The plan to bring down the towers on 9/11 were from the deep state that controlled America from behind the scenes. And it was also an inside job in how the towers physically were brought down, meaning they put explosive demolition charges inside the buildings and blew them up from the inside. So it wasn't, the towers didn't come down from airplanes flying into the towers from the outside. And this person's gonna get blocked because they started writing comments, they didn't hit the like button. It says 0 likes, I got 4 views live right now, but 0 likes. And that's something that I keep telling people. I don't like people start leaving comments and then they don't hit the like button. A lot of the people who show up leaving comments in my chat are cyber stalkers, like Illuminati bought shill accounts. They get sent to run interference on my streams and try to sabotage my content and failing miserably at it right now. Meaning it's like I'm not crashing out now. They go up to 1. If it goes down again, you're getting blocked, because that's another way the people mess with me sometimes. Like after I go, come on, leave a like if you're gonna leave comments. So then I see they leave and then remove likes sometimes in some form of gaslighting. I keep changing things. Anyway, that's the point. The reason I tell people to leave likes is because not that I have some emotion like I care about if you like me or like my content or not. It comes off as rudeness and low level aggression, and I don't like interacting with human beings that are like here to get something, don't hit the like button. So 9/11 was an inside job. It was a deep state planned advanced event, which is why I can show you foreshadowing the 9/11 attacks in Hollywood movies, which I made several videos showing you hidden plain view truths in movies. And that's one of the things where Al-Qaeda doesn't control American Hollywood in the 70s and 80s. See? So that's one of the things that show that it wasn't Al-Qaeda. Because Al-Qaeda didn't control Hollywood in the 70s and 80s. So why can I show you foreshadowing where there's Hollywood movies in the 70s and 80s, major American blockbuster movies, like Die Hard, for example, that contain hints at the common 9/11 attacks, like, hey, there's going to be a terror attack in America in the future. Tower's going to go down, that basically. Why can I show you that? Because the deep state that control Hollywood, they have been controlling the world from behind the scenes for a long time, like the Daily Movie, they control it all, see? And then you have people like the sellout. And I'm like the guy with the glasses. That's who I am. in the movie world. Do you understand? I'm like the guy with the glass. I got the eyes that can see, and I can see the truth, and I end up being persecuted as a Christian. And then you have the sellout that goes where everybody sells out. So Andy Woods has helped to cover up 9/11 truth 9/11 by making a video saying that it's bad to be a 9/11 truther, okay, a 9/11 truther, because he's shilling for the deep state. The deep state did 9/11, and it was an inside job in more ways than one. Meaning 9/11, the attack, 9/11 attacks, that plot was hashed from within America and carried out from within America, and it was done from the inside of the towers, meaning they had rigged the buildings to blow from the inside. That's called controlled demolition, and there's a whole art form, science to that, where there's contractors that are controlled demolition workers that get called in to demolish a Vegas hotel that's going to be decommissioned, and they rig it up to blow, and then they have explosive demolition charges placed inside the building, and it results in the collapse of the building. Clean, neat in its own footprint, near free fall speed, with little no resistance. And that's how the 9/11 attacks happen. So, Andy Woods is a deep state puppet. He's a shill. And this is one of the things where I can show you clearly he's a shill because he's helping to cover up 9/11. And then there's the personal level where I'm a Christian talking video, talking with a secret persecution point for being like the They Live guy. And he's serving the deep state. And after I start watching his videos, he starts talking me with covert abuse. Where it's like he starts talking with covert abuse for the gang stalking program. Which why you see me make videos saying Andy Woods is a gang stalker, or he's a person that's targeting me for the gang stalking boys, because there's a way that they target me online. If I subscribe to ministry, even a Christian YouTube channel, like to the Bible Church or Robert Breaker, Andy Woods, these are some people that target me for the program. They have a way to start targeting you covertly with covert abuse, covert psychological abuse, where they're working in tandem with the program. They like sadly passive aggressive, like innuendo. Sadly, I can tell that they're messing with me, but other people can't easily tell. So 9/11 was an inside job, and I have videos where I break down and show Hollywood movies and scenes in movies where they foreshadow the 9/11 attacks, and that's the truth. That's the truth. And as a Christian man, my life is founded upon the truth. And I'd rather be dealing with short term, being mocked and ridiculed and called crazy for speaking the truth, than to live a lie and go along with lies and be part of the problem. So, 9/11 was an inside job. The deep state planned in advance and carried out on 9/11, and they had explosive demolition charges. And to get into technicalities, I suspect that they used nanothermite in conjunction with blasting charges, you could call it. Meaning, I believe that they had a mix where they had nanothermite to like kind of slowly melt things, coupled with blasting charges, like explosions going off to rapidly like cut off beams. Now, that's like a little bit hyper-technical, you don't have to get into that, but 9/11 was an inside job, and it was brought down from the inside of America and from the inside of the towers. And the airplanes that flew into the buildings were not what caused the collapse, okay? It wasn't fires caused by airplanes flying into the towers that brought down the towers. That was like the smoking gun, that's what they blamed the collapse on. And here's another thing, World Trade Center 7. Here's another thing that I've been saying on 9/11, Mike's analysis of 9/11. I do believe there was a plane headed for the World Trade Center 7. So basically, it's like just like they had planned World Trade Center 1 and 2, and then we fly airplanes into them and blame the airplanes for the collapse, okay? And I do believe that on that day there was a mishap. The guy upstairs, he leave nothing to chance at the Die Hard movie. There was something that was left to chance. And in God's providence, it's like possibly it was like God allowed it to be like a mishap that has resulted in some people waking up. That's part of what has made some Christians like me wake up to it. That is like, obviously you can't deny it, like World Trade Center 7, okay? It wasn't hit by a plane, but it still collapsed. So World Trade Center 7 collapsed at its own footprint, like just collapsed, understand? And that wasn't hit by an airplane. And what I believe is there was an airplane that was planned to hit World Trade Center 7, so they could blame the collapse of World Center 7 on an airplane too. But that could have been Flight 93, where they was brought down outside of Pennsylvania. Okay, so it possibly was Flight 93 that was intended to hit World Center 7. And either it was real what they tell you, that is actually the people on the airplane launched like a fight back against the hijackers, and they let the airplane crash in the field outside Pennsylvania, or it could have been a rogue F-16 fighter pilot who wasn't in on the conspiracy. Maybe one of many generals in America or in the Air Force. There's like America's under attack, scramble jets, okay, shoot that down, the airplane, and it was covered up possibly. And then they make like a propaganda movie about, yeah, the American citizens on the airplane fought back bravely against the terrorists and things like this. So I do believe there was an airplane headed for World Center 7, and they were going to blame the collapse of World Center 7 on an airplane, and for some reason it didn't arrive. And I do believe that it's quite possible that there weren't any hijackers, that the airplanes were more controlled, okay? Like that they were more controlled. That they had hijacked the airplanes with like RF, meaning they had a way to remote control the airplanes. Now that's a different angle. So here's the point. A lot of times I prefer to stay in areas of certainty where I know it was an inside job, and here's where I know, and then you can get into some details, like specifically how did they make this happen? Was it in this way or that way? Nice point. None of that was an inside job. The deep state did 9/11, and they had planned in advance, and they used it to de-Americanize America and get Americans to hand over their rights. So America was less American, less like the founding fathers intended. Where they got things on the books, laws on the books that they use this crisis they manufacture, problem, action, solution. Create a problem, control the reaction, and then part of the solution is give us the right to be more tyrannical and draconian. Meaning us, the government. So 9/11 was an inside job done by the deep state satanic Illuminati, and I can show you foreshadowing of the 9/11 attacks in Hollywood movies. I've done that before. Because I have the ability, thanks to God, to be able to see truth that most people are blind to, like in the Major God the Daily movie, where I can see truth that most people are blind to. And I've been able to both find and show hidden plain view truths of foreshadowing 9/11 attacks. What's foreshadowing? Foreshadowing is, let's say the deep state are planning another pandemic. They would like, do you understand? If the deep state are planning a new pandemic, if they were planning to have a pandemic, 2030, let's say, like a major one, they would start hiding into series and movies, Hollywood movies, and music videos, things like these little hints at a coming pandemic. They will write it into the plot. There's like this pandemic that makes everybody sick. This is how they operate. If they're going to do something major, they will hint at it. They will foreshadow it. So foreshadow means that they will hint at coming events. And my analysis, if there's something that the deep state Illuminati are planning to do that's of major destructive consequence, major negative impact, they will hide in plain view. So it's not every little thing. It's not necessarily that there was foreshadowing of Charlie Kirk, like one guy that they murdered. Let's say it was the deep state that took out Charlie Kirk. It's not necessarily that thing is going to be foreshadowed all over Hollywood, but something major is going to kill thousands of people, that's going to change America, that's going to change the world, that's going to make thousands of people sick or dying. Now, something major, they will foreshadow it. And 9/11 was a major event that led to global changes, world changes. Millions of people died. Not just in the day, it was around 3,000 Americans that died on 9/11 that day. And then how many people have died, soldiers in the wars that they launched based off 9/11. And after coming home, a lot of veterans off themselves to this and have gotten injured and stuff, and a lot of Iraqis and people. So there's a lot of people that have died. Millions of people, I believe, have died because of the 9/11 attacks. Not just the one day, but the wars after that day. And then also people have died from health problems from breathing in the fumes, the dust. So there's still people dying every year in America that inhale dust from the towers. They were downtown, there's like a dust cloud, they're inhaling concrete dust and stuff, and there's people getting cancer and things like this. So there's still people dying from 9/11 attacks. So that was an atrocity, and that's who Andy Wood serves and helped to cover up, because the truth is the deep state planned 9/11 in advance and carried it out. And they were foreshadowing it, hinting at it, hiding truth in plain view about what they're planning to do in Hollywood movies. And I made videos on that, so check me out on Rumble, because that's where I do the laptop streams. Videos like this, as I'm just talking about stuff. But if I want to play, I've done that before, where I break down movies in real time and I play movie scenes and show you and pause and show you details and talk about what's going on. I do that on my laptop on my Rumble channel. So I made videos showing hidden plain view truth regarding the sugar agenda. I've told people there's an agenda by the deep state that had the mass eating high sugar diet, and I showed the hidden plain view truth. Hollywood movies where they're telling themselves, hey, we got the mass eating high sugar diet. It makes them easy to control. A lot of Americans die here because of it. Django Unchained, Mike said Django Unchained movie Decode, and No Country for Old Men. Both these movies deal with that, like as a subplot. So the deep state have an agenda of foreshadowing and hiding truth in plain view. If there's something major they're doing or planning to do, or major destructive consequence, negative impact, if they're doing it currently or plan to do it in the future, they will hide in plain view. That's my analysis. So the deep state psychopathic power elites, if they're planning to do something that's going to kill a lot of people, make a lot of people sick, take freedoms away, something major, they will hint at it. They will hide truth in plain view, they will foreshadow it. If they're doing something right now, they will tell on themselves. So 9/11 was an inside job. The deep state planned in advance, which is why 1989 in the Always movie, that's a unique find. I know there's other people talked about in Simpsons since it is foreshadow 9/11, but that's something I found myself, an instance of foreshadow 9/11 in the Always movie, 1989, released the same year I was born, as a matter of fact. And the reason I'm able to find this truth is because I have this spirit of an expert pilot helping me to fly the plane, understand, guiding me to find this truth. Meaning my intuition was to click that movie, look at posters on a website, like what movie I watched tonight, and that drew me in. I clicked it and I watched it, and the reason I can say, I see it, I credit God with that, like the Holy Spirit. So I'm being facetious, a bit tongue in cheek, but part of the synopsis, when I looked at the Always on a website, the synopsis like, the spirit of an expert pilot is helping a guy fly the plane. So basically, it's like possibly it's like a subplot where it's like they know that the people the red person might be able to see the hidden codes we put in this movie is a Christian man that has the Holy Spirit, or like helping them to see the truth, understand? Helping a person, because the plot of the David movie is he got saved before he started seeing the truth in society and become one that can see, which is in real life, in my experience too. After I got saved is when I started being able to see the truth about the satanic world system and how the deep state Satanists are working to control the world and poison everybody and everything else. So anyway, here's the point. And this is relevant because it's not just about people dying. It's about, I made videos about the sugar. The deep state are working to keep on a high sugar diet because it gives you brain damage. It keeps you at low level mentally. It makes it easy to control. They want eating high sugar diet because that makes it easy to control. So anyways, the point. They're always movie 989. I made decodes on that before, where I show you a scene where they show you two men in an airfield. There's an airplane on a collision course with them, and they jump out of the way. That's symbolic. That's an instance of foreshadow 9/11 attacks in the 99 movie, where they show you there's gonna, in the future, September 11, there's gonna be two towers symbolized by the two men in the airfield, and one of them is holding a cluster of balloons, the colors of the American flag. And they're standing there, there's an airplane that comes at a collision course and they get out of the way. That's what are they showing? That scene, a picture speaks 1,000 words. That scene speaks 1,000,000, you could say. Where it's like they're showing there's going to be two towers removed by an airplane on 9/11. So it's like they're showing you a glimpse of the future in that scene. That is a clear instance. And that's one of these movies where it's like, I didn't Google something. I was going to look at a movie and I go to a website that has movies. And I like old school movies, sometimes vintage. And I would click on that website. I remember when the night I discovered this, and I saw it by like 1970s, 1980s, and they had like by decade you can release this. And it's like go 1970s to 80s, something like this. And I'm looking at like movie posters, like a line of 70s, 80s movies. And that one, the Always movie, I just feel like compelled, it's like interesting. I end up clicking it and I watch it. Then in the middle of that, it's like, oh, wait a minute, it's hidden preview truth that this is foreshadow 9/11, this movie. yet another instance of foreshadowed 9/11 attacks. And there's so basically, I've been able to find hidden plain view truths foreshadowed 9/11 attacks in Hollywood movies, because that's how the deep state operate. They hide things in plain view. So before the 9/11, they were hinting at the common 9/11 attacks they had planned. So they planned it more than 20 years in advance, at least 20 years in advance, as a major deep state event, like a milestone watershed event on the deep state globalism agenda, like the multi-generational deep state agenda. 9/11 was a major event. And I have the ability to see things like a daily guy what I can see. That's how I believe my life. I made videos showing to the hidden plain view truth about sugar, the wonder of sugar in the hidden plain view, where it's like they have even like the candies are marketed in ways where it's like hidden plain view truth that sugar gives you inflammation, causes brain damage, and sugar kills. So I'm a persecuted Christian taught in the video, and this is a war, and unfortunately a lot of Christian pastors have sold out to the deep state to favor, like Andy Woods. So he's like a guy, he claims to be saved, which means he would have left Egypt, as it were, because Satan is a type of, Pharaoh is a type of Satan, and Egypt is a type of the world system. So a saved person is somebody who's left Egypt, and he'll be like a person who draws back, and like joins Pharaoh and helps him to target other Christians that have escaped Egypt. That's who Andy Woods is in the River Nile with the Lacoste t-shirt. He's in the River Nile, Crimea River, the River Nile there with the crocodiles biting. So beware of Andy Woods' deep state sellout. Andy Woods is a deep state puppet shill sellout, okay? And he's a wicked man. He's got a fake Bible and a false gospel about his YouTube channel. So unlike him, not only am I doing things that he's not doing that are valuable and work to protect the body of Christ from the agenda, because the agenda I believe with is the sugar dinner, for example. And most Americans eating a high sugar diet. That's by design by the satanic deep state, wondering about to be sick and weak. Now I'm also using a real Bible and teaching the truth on the gospel. So I taught the real gospel, and I used the real Bible, the King James Bible, which is the Bible. So the Word of God in English is the King James Bible, not the NASB or the NIV or the ESV. So anyway, don't forget to hit the like button if you're watching the stream. I don't like it when I see people show up, more and more people leaving comments, and I can tell the like count doesn't go up. See? So make it a habit if you're watching my videos to hit the like button if you watch my videos. And if not, don't get surprised if you get blocked, because there's a way that I can tell if people hit the like button or not. So sometimes people show up and it says 0 likes when I go live, and then there's some viewers start dropping in, leaving comments, and it stays at 0, which means that it's like, oh, the people writing comments right now, none of them click the like button. And then what do you expect? That I'm gonna oh, hello, I'm gonna start answering your question and talk to you, and you didn't even hit the like button on my stream. It's narcissistic. So here comes the silly troll. Somebody wrote that the grandma got hit by a bazooka, and then somebody wrote that buy me McDonald's. Okay, no thank you. No thank you. So notice how some men on a quest here, they are like main player characters, being rare and extraordinary and doing important things. And then there's like silly goofballs that are like in the chat being silly goofball trolls, okay? So some men are fighting evil in this world, the other men are like running interference on that. So the deep state did 9/11, and they foreshadowed it. And I've shown people foreshadowing 9/11 attacks, and you can subscribe to me on Rumble. If I go live again and make another one of those videos, you can catch it live on Rumble. So Andy Woods is a deep state puppet shill, and Raffin Corn is not a deep state puppet shill, and Robert Baker is not a deep state puppet shill. And unfortunately, I need to tell the truth that there's a lot of Christian ministries and pastors that have been compromised and captured by the deep state, the powers that should not be, you could call them. And a lot of them justify it by like Romans 13, submit to the government, understand? That's how they justify it, where it's like, yeah, the Romans 13, we're obeying the powers that be. But what the powers that be are doing is against the Bible, so that doesn't hold up. So yeah, I've been saved since before I was 20 years old. I'm 36 today. And since getting saved, it's been a real journey, and I ended up being persecuted, like me in the Matrix. After he woke up out of the Matrix, after the Day Live guy got saved, he ends up seeing things and ends up being persecuted. And that's what I've been going through. So movies contain hidden plain view truths, and the deep state know that there's people now and then that get saved, and after getting saved, they start being able to see the truth and discern the truth that the mass are blind to. And one of the things that can happen to you that can result in being taught about this gang stalking persecution program. I'm the target of a secret persecution called gang stalking, and right now, as a matter of fact, I'm dealing with a tooth infection I got from the program putting up a dentist to poke a hole in my tooth like a dental assassin. So I do believe that the program, the deep state persecution program called gang stalking, is more to show my life and target both mental and physical. Put up a dentist to poke a hole in my tooth on purpose. And I have a tooth infection from that. I can feel in my neck and in my head, pressure in my head, and kind of a little bit pain in my neck. So I've also been shot in the leg with a dart gun or something similar. Got shot in the leg with something, have a permanent damage on my calf from that. I've been sprayed with chemicals, I've been food poisoned, I've been targeted physically. And despite being taught by the deep state, I don't give up, understand? I don't live in fear. So I'm a Christian being persecuted, and I haven't given up, and I'm not gonna give up. I'm not gonna stop speaking out. I'm not gonna shut up. And this program is not something that only targets me as long as I'm speaking out or something like this. This is a program that's working to target me until I die from the target, no matter what, understand? And it's all that causes permanent damage. And it's not like they would stop if I stopped doing activism. And even if they did, I shouldn't stop. Understand? If they would stop targeting me personally, if I stop working to wake the mass up and speak the truth, I still shouldn't stop. So that's the point. I've been taught for more than a decade with gang stalking videos and poison, and I'm in a war. I'm targeted with physical warfare and psychological warfare. And I have been for more than a decade. And Robert Breaker is not one of these deep state puppet pastors that taught me for the gang stalking program. Robert Breaker, Andy Woods, do the Bible Church as a whole YouTube church. Since anybody goes up behind the pulpit, you can kind of be part of that thing. So I've been taught by Christian ministries. Being a Christian taught with gang stalking videos, I've seen a lot of Christian ministries and pastors participate in this persecution program. So that just shows how wicked and satanic you have to be as a Christian being persecuted by the deep state satanic scum filth. And then you join forces and help them to persecute a Christian brother because you claim to be Christians, okay? That's a different level. So, anyway, I'm a persecuted Christian taught individual, and like the Day Live guy, after getting saved, I started seeing the truth. I started being able to see truth, hidden plain view truth. And I end up being taught about a persecution program that includes but is not limited to government workers. It's like the Matrix. When you look around and what do you see? Businessmen, lawyers, police officers. They're part of that system that will target you. So that's my experience. And after getting saved, the Lord started leading me into all truth. I guess that's not relatable to a lot of Christians that don't have the same experience. But after getting saved, I start waking up to things. And I can tell that the Lord was leading me, for example, into the King James Bible issue. So I got saved reading a Swedish translation, most likely a modern perversion. But it's like leading up to this season of my life where I started looking into salvation and like culminated in me getting saved, I understand. After getting saved, I start feeling like I feel like there's the real word of God somewhere out there, and I'm not sure I have it, and I felt like I need to make sure I had the real word of God. And I had this like intuitive sense that there is a word of God, like the original out there somewhere that I want to have. So there's like the Holy Spirit in a very real level. I have a walk with the Lord. It's not just all like watching videos. After getting saved, I started feeling in my heart that I need to find the word of God. And I was reading like a modern Swedish translation. I ended up waking up to the King James Bible issue within 10 years of getting saved. There's a lot of Christians that think they've been saved for like 20 years and they're reading the NIV or something like this. So I guess they haven't been hearing from the shepherd, understand? My sheep hear my voice and they follow me. So anyways, the point. Another thing is I can tell that the Lord was working to wake me up to what I need to know. Beloved, I wish for all things that I may prosper be in health, even as I so prospers. I can tell that God started working to wake me up to things that I've woken up to now. And he was working to get me to wake up to toxins, for example. It's like I remember intuitively, after getting saved, I had this experience different than what life was like before I was saved. It was like these things at home, like countertop cleaners and shampoo. I would buy Head and Shoulders and stuff. And I would have like this experience of just feeling like, look at the hygiene home cleaning chemical parts. Like, I feel like this could be bad or something like this. And look at the labels and it's like, I feel like possibly this is bad for you. So there's like little things like this that my life changed after I got saved. Where I can tell in hindsight as if the Lord was working to guide me, lead me into truth, and work to wake me up and help me to know this. Like, Mike, avoid these toxic chemical and cleaning products, and you need to know what the Word of God is, the King James Bible in English, and all these other things. And vitamin C mega dosing, learning about that topic. So I'm a persecuted Christian taught in the video, and I've been taught about a secret persecution book called GameStop. I taught this for more than a decade now. And the Deep State did 9/11. They did the pandemic. They planned the pandemic in advance and 9/11, and both of these events were foreshadowed. And I've been able to find instances of foreshadow these two events in pop culture. And I made videos about this. For example, there's a Lost series episode where Desmond is introduced as a character, Desmond Humes. And I count that episode of Lost as an instance of foreshadow pandemic. Another instance of foreshadow pandemic is Resident Evil. Okay, the Resident Evil movie, Mila Jovovich, where they even show the lab leak theory, understand? Where it's like, there's an underground lab where some mysterious umbrella corp, which is a symbol of the Deep State Illuminati, just like the Dharma Initiative is in the Lost Universe, is a reference to the Deep State Illuminati. So Dharma Initiative, Umbrella Corp, is conducting a gain of function research on the T virus in an underground lab, see? And then the virus leaks out of the lab and gets people infected outside the lab, see? So that's the plot of the movie, and I count that as an foreshadowing, where the Umbrella Corp is conducting virus research, gain of function, where they're working to gain the function, they're working to affect it, they're working on a virus in a lab, and working to get it more effective and getting it to do what they want it to do. This is the movie world. I'm not talking real life right now. And there's a scene where it leaks out of the lab. So the virus is leaked out of the lab, the T virus. And they show you a scene in this lab where like there's a lab worker that has a vial with a double helix DNA spiral. Or you mean like COVID, where they talk about, I've seen COVID and DNA, mRNA, and people talk about genetics and stuff in association to COVID a lot of times. Okay. Now, anyways, the point. So there's a scene where they have a vial with a double helix spiral, which is symbol for human DNA, blue liquid in it, either blue or green, I think blue. And there's a lab worker that goes and purposefully leaks it. So it's a purposeful lab leak in the movie. And they throw it over the shoulder, and it breaks, and the sack goes into the air, and then it starts infecting people and leaks out of the lab. And there's a virus problem. So I count that as foreshadow pandemic. And also I would say Will Smith, I Am Legend, that movie, I count that as foreshadow pandemic as well. Where there's isolation is the theme of the movie, working to find a cure. These people are infected, and then he's a scientist that working to find a vaccine against the infection. Okay. So there's themes in there that apply to the pandemic. So I do believe that the pandemic was planned in advance by the Deep State and leaked on purpose out of a lab. Okay. And so yeah, both the pandemic and 9/11 was planned in advance by the Deep State and foreshadowing pop culture, which is why I can show you instances of foreshadowing. of both these events. Also, another instance of foreshadow pandemic that I've discovered is the Loop Fiasco music video, Words Never Said by Loop Fiasco. And I count that as an instance of foreshadowing of the pandemic. That was released, 2013 maybe? 2012, 2013, Loop Fiasco, Words Never Said. I count that as an instance of foreshadowing of the pandemic as well. Because if the deep state are planning to do something, or major destructive consequence, major negative impact, they will hide in plain view. So I didn't get vaccinated during COVID, by the way. I know a lot of people did. I didn't get vaccinated during COVID. And I think they should be normalized that Christian pastors usually demand that they produce evidence that they get vaccinated during COVID or not, that they share their vaccine status. I believe that should become norm, because a leader, they should be open, for so transparent. So if they're going to lead you in matters of health, fitness, whole counsel of God, your mental, physical health, spiritual health, they should be open with how they live in their life. And if they're doing something, obviously that should be the right choice. If they got vaccinated, they should have told you to get vaccinated, and they should be able to prove that they get vaccinated. And if the pastor would be like, I'm not getting vaccinated, he should share that with you. So I didn't get vaccinated with COVID, no vaccine, no booster. And I could prove it. I can access my medical records. I can to prove that I'm not on drugs because I got drug tested. There's no signs of drugs in my system. In the same website, I can access my medical records. It says no vaccines. Okay, there's like a tab that says vaccinations, and it's empty, meaning I haven't received any vaccinations since 2018. And I didn't get vaccinated with COVID. I know a lot of Christians did. I didn't, and I don't regret not getting vaccinated. I'm not saying the vaccines are bad for you. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying I didn't get vaccinated, and I don't regret not getting vaccinated. So, yeah, I'm dealing with it. I'm reeling, not just dealing. I'm reeling and dealing. I'm dealing with a tooth infection right now, and it's really doing a number on me. And the deep state got a dentist to poke a hole in my tooth. That's what I believe. Talks was set to receive purpose and correct medical treatment. And that's been my experience with being a gangster target, that system agents, even if it's within a hospital, can be put to target. Just if I go to a social office, they're going to have agents in there. If I go to a police station, they're going to have police that are agents. The deep state control from behind the scenes. They control politicians, police officers. They have people all over society. And it's not that every person is like knowing that they're an agent, but they're going to have people scattered throughout society in key places. They might have a principal in the school that's a deep state agent. They're going to have a few teachers. They're going to have at least one doctor in each hospital, which is one of the risks if you talk videos, you go to hospital, get perhaps a medical. That's one of the risks that you have, that you could go to hospital for surgery and there'd be a perp, quote unquote, doctor get told to cut your nerves in your neck. There was a accident during the surgery or something. It's just one thing. I'm not saying don't seek medical help. I'm saying one of the risks that individuals face is getting bad medical treatment on purpose by medical professionals. So I went to a dentist, and the dentist poked a hole in my tooth, gave me a tooth infection. And I've been dealing with that for years on and off, and it's been flaring up now, and I can feel it in my tooth and in my neck, and pressors and shit. So what I'm experiencing, symptomatology, what I'm experiencing is not even like pain, but it's more of a pressure sensation I'm feeling in the tooth, and some pain in my neck and a pressure sensation in my head. So I have a dental appointment booked, but I might have to call them again and ask for like an emergency appointment. I'm not interested. Somebody wrote that, hello, Satan's going to give you a call tonight. Wow, that's very scary. Hold on, I gotta change my underwear now. He's got a once in a lifetime deal for you. I'm not interested. So there's a lot of silly trolls in the chat. And when I say silly, it's not intended to minimize it, because it's serious, the targeting. So a lot of the trolling that's intended to have a negative impact, it's like kind of disguised as silly goofball trolling behavior. Yeah, so anyway, remember what I told you. Yankee Arnold is a deep state puppet Pastor Shill. Andy Woods is a deep state puppet Pastor Shill. Yankee Arnold, Andy Woods, Robert Baker, and Duluth Bible Church on the whole. And they can be sure that saints will find them out. So they've been doing throwing the rock and hiding their hand, passive aggressiveness. That's a big part of I get taught by pastors like Andy Woods and these other pastors that taught me for the program. It's passive aggressiveness, it's covert trauma. It's like they push my buttons, they communicate a veiled message, could be a veiled threat or subtle gaslighting, or like they communicate things by innuendo, and that's a part of how I get targeted. Do you understand? It's like I can give you an example on when you hear me talk about this person talking for the gang stalking program. Don't expect to see a video where they say like, yeah, this guy Mike's my hand that told me to say screw you buddy or something like this. If you go look at the channel. But if you're taught in the video, you get taught with covert abuse by flying monkeys in real life and online, which means you taught them ways of plausible and how to attack other people. And I've given analysis before and made examples of like how you can be taught in a video as a taught in video. For example, let's say I got bullied as a kid because I had a big nose. Let's say I was called Big Nose Mike as a teenager and being bullied, okay? And it's like a childhood trauma. And I subscribed to do a Bible church, and then it's like after a certain while, it's in the sermon, it was like, yeah, so some of these people like big nose heretics or something like this. And it's like, do you understand? It's like pushing a button. It's like Mike got bullied about big nose as a child. He subscribed to us, taught the video, and the pastor sneaks in like a reference, like a joke about big nose heretics. So it's like both like, oh, they're pushing my button. I was bullied about my big nose as a kid. And it's also insinuating that I'm a heretic. Do you understand? It's like some of these heretics out here, it's like you wish you were like Pinocchio. The guys like they got a big nose each time they were a heretic. So it's like it's both like, oh, they're pushing the button about big nose that I was bullied by as a kid, and it's also like insinuating that I'm a heretic, see, at the same time, which I'm not. And you can't defend against it, like based off of what? What am I teach just a heresy, pastor? And let's have the debate or something like this. It's like, no, it's just like, that's what you are. So like in a circle. It's like, so that's an example how they can target you, where it's like they have access to the deep state program. They're part of that spies on you and knows things about you, your personal life and what you're doing and your history, your past. And they can use this to very subtly push your buttons and make you feel harassed and targeted. Right in the open, right in front, because that's how the deep state psychopath police operate. Right in the open in Hollywood movies, they're hiding messages in there, and most people can't see it. So I'm a thought of gang stalking. I've seen a lot of Christian pastors participate. Andy Woods, Yankee Arnold, do the Bible Church, and they're weak, contemptible, disgusting freak sellouts. It takes some courage to do what I do to resist the deep state. That takes some courage. And it's cost me, understand? So it's not like, oh, it's a walk in the park. Now, I've been enjoying afflictions as a person of God rather than the sinful submission bound the need to bail like the Bible Church and in the woods and these people have done. So it's been uncomfortable and it's been hard and dangerous for peril. In perils in the city by the hand of my countrymen. 2 times was I attacked physically by the Swedes. Understand? I got a poke in the tooth. I got something in my leg. So there was another Christian. He was beaten openly, uncondemned. Now they thrust us out privily. Let them come and fetch us out. The Christians throughout history being persecuted as a Christian is not a foreign concept. Christians throughout history have been persecuted, physically and psychologically. And I've been targeted physically and persecuted. But throughout all these things, the Lord has been with me. Understand? So I credit God with my survival. God has helped me to stay alive. And it's been really hard. And it's maddening. And it's been affecting me severely psychologically, physically, in my life and other people. But it's like I'm still alive. Do you understand? A lot of times I return to the simple things. Where sometimes I wake up and I just go, thank God I'm still alive. Which is saying a lot. Just being alive after these many years of targeting, the type of target I've been getting is a lot. That's a big deal. Because as long as I'm still alive, I can still maneuver an enemy. I can make moves. I can make things happen. There's no work in the grave. Understand? So whatsoever thy hand finds to do all your might. For there's no work in the grave, whether thou goest or something like this. So as long as I'm alive, I can still make things happen, meaningful things. I have a chance to win souls. I can leave gospel tracts. I can make videos about conspiracies. I can warn people about the sugar. Do you understand? As long as I'm alive, I can make things happen. So a lot of times it's like there's certain things that are changing, okay, and I can't count on certain things remaining the same. The only constant is change in certain areas of life. But just a simple thing where sometimes I can bring myself to experience some kind of gratitude and express it, to be like, wow, I'm alive, thank God I'm still alive. I'm still alive, you understand? And that means that I can make things happen. So what the purpose of life as a Christian is not to enjoy yourself and have a good time all the time. That's not a purpose of life as a Christian. It's about what you can do while you're still down here on earth. Life is about what you can accomplish for the Lord, ultimately, while you're down here on earth. So, yeah, so anyways, the point, I'm a targeted individual, I'm a target of persecution, that's the truth. I've been taught for more than a decade. The body of Christ have been turned blind eye to this. I haven't seen other Christians offering like real support when I've been persecuted. And these things haven't been done in the corner. I've been vocal about persecuted Christian Max alive. Like I said, I've been speaking the truth about being persecuted for years. I haven't seen Christians supporting me, lifting a finger to help me, which means the sin of silence and enabling what's happening to me. Don't be surprised if God lets you, if you're a Christian, that turns a blind eye to other Christians being persecuted and abused horribly, that God lets you endure that go through some of the same things that Christian had to go through. If you had to go through harassment, physical health problems, and things like this. And I've seen some pastors that I've seen talking for the program report that they're having some of the same things happen that I've had happen as Rob talking. Unless Rob Baker's lying, it says they've had a hard time breathing and having to think about if you wake up, if you go to bed again, which are things that I've had to go through from the talking. To be like, if I go to bed in the cycle, when I wake up, will it take me out? Okay, so using chemicals on me to make it hard for me to breathe and things like this. And unless he's lying, it's like he's been having some of the same problems. Mold, he talks about having mold in his house, getting sick, sleep apnea, having a hard time breathing, having to think about if he's going to wake up again if he falls asleep. Well, that's things that I've during the talk have had to worry about. Having a hard time breathing because I'm talking about a problem that he's told me for. Having to think about if I fall asleep, will I wake up again? Would it take me out of my sleep? And things like this. So, yeah, I'm a persecuted Christian taught video talk with the gang stalking persecution program, which is a secret persecution program that's worked to target me for more than a decade. And I'm a Christian warrior in the war. And it's not easy. But I kind of worth it. And of course, they don't like me to sell out weak, effeminate sissy boys like Brandon Holthouse and Eddie Woods and Yankee Arnold. They are weak cowards that submitted and by the need to bail and started working for favor, as it were. And to see a person who's resisting a shattered mission and Abednego, where it's like, yeah, we're going to say no, we're not going to submit. So, of course, they don't like that. It's like I'm like a natural proof rebuke, where it's like, here's a Christian that didn't submit to the deep state, that keeps working to resist them. Understand? So, I've been young and now am less young, and I have seen that those that sow wickedness reap the same. So, I'm expecting that they'll experience negative outcomes in this life. The Bible teaches if they're real Christians, okay? Some of these people, maybe in the woods is not really saved. I can't know. Not 100%. That's would inspire trust in him being a Christian if he doesn't know what the gospel is. Succeed with gospel Bible. So I upload a sinner's prayer for salvation to YouTube channel and I got a fake Bible. Understand? That's not really helping to be like, is this guy a real Christian? Okay. Now, anyways, the point. Here's another thing. Modern Riching has gone to be with the Lord. Another update. He finally reached me. A few times on live, I've been saying, like, if somebody knows what happened to Modern Riching, let me know. And it's reached me now that Modern Richling, like, they agreed me. I was looking at the YouTube channel, someone left a comment saying Modern Richling is passed. And I did some Googling and I found a death notice, like an obituary. So it's confirmed that Modern Richling Jr. passed not that long ago, less than 3 months ago. I think it was now. And he's going to be with the Lord. I can't believe Richie as a saved man. Personally, I believe he was a saved man. If I had to bet, I bet on him being a saved man. He just got off into heresy towards the last part of his life. Now, he's not being a heretic right now in heaven, okay? So, he lost on some rewards and stuff like this. He wasted his time. He could have done more for the Lord the last part of his time rather than being a heretic. But, yeah, so, as a matter of fact, I'm going to end this stream and make another video. Break it to other people if they never heard about it.